This is a massive storm. Hurricane force winds extend some 175 miles in every direction of this center.
Here in New York tonight, there is already a state of emergency. Authorities are scrambling to keep more than 8 million people safe here.
Earlier today, I signed an executive order for the mandatory evacuation of homes and businesses in Zone A.
This storm is going to be destructive, historic, and unfortunately life-threatening.
In a situation like this, you prepare for the worst and you hope for the best.
Please listen to what your state and local officials are saying. When they tell you to evacuate, you need to evacuate.
In many ways, the immediate damage done by Hurricane Sandy was immeasurable. And yet, the effects of the storm would continue to be felt long after the winds and rains had passed.
I'd like to address this to President Obama. We have just lived through a natural disaster. My government came to me, FEMA in particular, and the top insurance money that I can get for a whole home that was destroyed, which my house has been, is $30,000. It's beyond. It's insult to injury. How could a government do this to its people? They spend millions of dollars overseas. You have a military budget. You're fighting wars all over the world. What about the people here in New York City? Shouldn't you be here? Shouldn't you be feeding us and clothing us and helping us? Because I don't feel you. I don't feel you at all.
John and Veronica Peterson live in the coastal neighborhood of Tottenville, Staten Island.
You are standing right now at the southernmost point of New York State. And that's south, and that's New Jersey, right? But you didn't know that, did you? See, that's something else you didn't know. Did you know that?
No.
This is the southernmost point in New York State, right here. Yeah. The South Pole, you might say.
After the hurricane, their home was deemed unlivable by the federal government and marked for demolition.
I mean, imagine you just lost everything and someone says to you, and by the way, you might lose your property. How do you deal with that?
That was an insult to the injury, right?
It was an insult beyond comprehension.
We've lived here 42 years, and we're members of the community in the sense that we would hate to leave. the people that we've come to know and that our children have come to know. We have 8 children, and they all grew up on this 3 miles of beachfront here. I don't know if you could bring the camera across that to see why it's worthwhile staying here, you know.
In the weeks following the storm, the Petersons were hoping to receive support from federally funded relief agencies.
I mean, FEMA's good. You go to an office and sit somebody and someone looks at you, you've been in a natural disaster, you know, like it's like prettying yourself up after your world's been blown apart. You can't do it. I couldn't sit there and
there was a tremendous lack of consultation.
There
on the
was
part
no
of the
consultation, there was no counseling, there was no sensitivity.
Nobody asked the people who were affected what they wanted or what they needed. It was just, you know, this is what we can provide.
Throughout New York City, many victims of the storm encountered similar problems with large corporate and government agencies.
The Red Cross was not around at the high impact areas the first few days. We didn't see any Red Cross, we didn't see any FEMA.
We was calling FEMA and everybody, nobody was answering. The electricians, Con Ed, plumbers, they've been saying, oh yeah, everything is gonna get done within the next 2 days.
I think Con Ed has done a terrible fucking job. A terrible job at this crisis. They're here now, it's fucking 13 days later. Terrible. Red Cross has not been here. They just arrived. FEMA is not doing a good job. I mean, it is atrocious how these agencies have reacted. It's atrocious.
All of these, the poor areas, we're not getting the same attention. You understand? There's been a split. You see what I'm saying? And they're not giving us what they're giving them. So it seems like we're the last, because we the poor people, we're the last ones to get any type of attention. But guess what? By the time they reach us, if they reach us, all the supplies that they're supposed to be given equally is going to be diminished by the time they get to us.
With large agencies unable to meet everyone's needs, smaller community-based relief organizations have stepped up to provide support.
On the positive side, the volunteers that have come through here, you know, that were not part of any particular government organization, have been fantastic.
The outpouring of clothes and canned goods has been great too, from private citizens bringing truckloads of that down, probably more than we could ever use. But it just makes you feel like you're not alone.
I don't usually accept help, and my friend sat down and said, you should just say yes to all these volunteers, they're here to help. And I said yes, and it was amazing.
All I saw were regular people just trying to help their neighbors. So I think, as usual in a crisis, New Yorkers always pull together and really help each other out.
Some volunteer, man, was walking by and was like, holy shit, how many fucking bags do you do? And when I told him, he ran to Bellevue Hospital and got me 60 milligrams of methadone. I don't know how he got it, he had to steal it. That's a really fucked up thing to say that it was cool. But it was cool. If you're a junkie, you know what I mean. It was fucking cool. Nobody gives a shit about us, man.
Basically, the government, the federal, the state, and the city government did very, very little. What was done was by volunteers, private volunteers, and that was more than enough to fill the gap that was left entirely open by the different levels of government.
With the help of their community, John and Veronica have already begun rebuilding their home.
My name is Ken Lucy, and we're in wonderful New Dorp Beach in Staten Island. The night that this all happened, we got out of here in chest-high water. 17 of us slept on a basement floor, soaking wet with whatever blankets she could come up with. And I wound up getting a bad cold. I went to a doctor. I thought it was pneumonia, because I've had that before, and it damn near killed me. But the doctor says, you're fine, just got a bad cold. And that's what I'm just still trying to get over. And the smoking don't help, you know.
After floodwaters and high winds left New Dorp Beach without power, Ken's neighborhood, like so many others throughout the city, became a target for looters.
About 11, almost midnight, a knock on the door. I figure it's one of the neighbors needs something. I mean, we were all working together at whatever time of the day or night. And I looked through the peephole, and this guy don't look right. And if you know what a junkie's eyes look like, someone who's stoned, he was stoned. So I grabbed the gun and I just kept it at my side, didn't point it at him, opened the door and said, "What's up?" And he says, "Oh, I'm from a local charity and I just want to know if you need anything." With that, I look, his buddy is standing at the gate and they got an old beat up van in the street. He saw the gun, he backed down waving, saying, "Okay, take care, take care." And they took off like a demon. So the gun just scared the shit out of him. But you don't know what was in his mind, you know, whether he was just seeing if anybody was here or what his intentions were, you know. So luckily I didn't have to go as far as to shoot someone. Not that I would want to. The baseball bat always comes in handy. That's intimidating enough. And all this stuff, I mean, all the models I built with my son, you know.
Despite the damaging flooding and the looting attempts that followed, Ken managed to keep his most precious belongings safe.
This is my father's Bible from the war. This would have upset me if I lost it. And all the pictures he took during the war. Luckily I brought it up. As far as change, yeah, you know, I don't think it'll ever be the same. I mean, living here now, we've always had somewhat of a problem with water, but this thing was just unbelievable. And I stay awake at night when there's a thunderstorm, you know, or it will be. It rained last night and it was freaky, you know, just to see raindrops again, you say, oh my God, what next, you know?
Everything about the community, which is so warm and happy, and there was something so, I don't know, I hate to use the word evil, but there was something very overwhelmingly gray and dank, very unlike the way the community is on a regular day. And I said to myself, where's the good? I'm trying to find the good, because there's always good here. We are very grateful that we're all safe, but yet this is all pretty overwhelming. We were evacuated on the Sunday prior to the storm.
And I pretty much watched everything on Facebook from Pennsylvania. Watched my house burn down from Pennsylvania.
You know, we went to sleep thinking that we knew there would be a storm and we knew there would probably be flooding and damage. But, you know, when you woke up the next day to find out everything was gone, it was shocking, I guess is the word, right?
Yeah.
No luck with the firebox?
No.
Do you think you got close to where you needed to be? Huh?
Yeah, right on top of our bed. That's where I left it, you know.
Today, the Hamill family has returned to their home to search for any belongings that may have survived the fire.
Shan, you found this?
Yeah.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, we found that.
Shannon and April?
That's great.
I feel like we're fishing. Don't tell it, go occupy her. Don't tell it. Mama! What? Pictures! Oh, hooray! A whole bin!
You're kidding! Oh my God! A lot of the pictures we had, like the pictures over the last several years, are digital, and we have those, but this is stuff before then, you know? So this is great to find this stuff.
Box, though.
Oh, there's some stuff
Look
in
at
it.
that!
Some stuff in it. Some baseball cards.
Newspaper articles for whatever.
Oh, Daddy's birthday.
His 50th?
Yeah.
Can you get me another?
Since when? Oh my gosh.
You were a baby.
You were a baby, honey.
Breezy Point is just one example of the widespread damage that has many questioning the strength of New York City's infrastructure. Do changes need to be made to protect commercial buildings, public transportation, and the energy grid?
When we designed and built New York, We did not think of floods and storms because we didn't have them. There are places that are going to be victimized by storms. We know that now. Well, what is the technology? What is the construction technique to build in those areas?
For their part, the Hamels hope that new approaches to construction will allow them to remain in Breezy Point.
Hopefully we build smarter and stronger and we get back to a, life as usual.
But can we return to the way things were? Is it possible that the rules of our environment have changed without us noticing?
The 12 hottest years on record have all come in the last 15. Heat waves, droughts, wildfires, floods, all are now more frequent and more intense. We can choose to believe that Superstorm Sandy and the most severe drought in decades and the worst wildfires some states have ever seen were all just a freak coincidence. Or we can choose to believe in the overwhelming judgment of science and act before it's too late.
There's a reality that has existed for a long time that we have been blind to, and that is climate change, extreme weather, call it what you will, and our vulnerability to it. It was true 10 years ago, it was true 5 years ago, it is undeniable today.
And as we watch these extreme weather events unfold around us, could it be that all of this is the new normal?